What if I told you that right now, in 2026, you can wake up in a beautiful country, eat 3 full meals, get around all day, sleep in clean accommodation, and experience something genuinely extraordinary, all for under $25. Not $250. Not $25 a meal. $25. Total. For the whole day. Most people assume budget travel means misery. Thin mattresses, questionable food, endless compromises. But the places I am about to show you turn that assumption completely upside down. Because these 9 destinations are not just cheap. They are extraordinary. They are the places where your money does not just go further, it multiplies. Where $50 buys you experiences that would cost $500 anywhere in Western Europe. Where the food is genuinely world-class and costs less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Where the landscapes are so extraordinary that people travel from the other side of the world specifically to see them. These are 9 of the most insanely affordable places you can travel to in 2026, with verified daily cost data, what you actually get for your money, and the honest things you need to know before you go. Let us count them down. Welcome to the channel. The daily budgets in this video include accommodation, local food, public transport, and 1 activity per day, per person. They are based on the Packzup Travel Cost Index 2026 and the Brokepackr Backpacker Cost Index, which uses real pricing data from 200+ cities globally. International flights are not included. Those vary too much by origin to give a universal figure. And cheap in this video means genuinely exceptional value. Not dirty, not unsafe, not boring. Every destination on this list is chosen because it is cheap and worth it. Let us go. Destination 1. Vietnam, $25 to $35 per day. The gold standard of budget travel. Lead with your most famous pick. Daily budget, $25 to $35 best for food, history, beaches, motorbike adventures visa, e-visa available for most nationalities. Vietnam is the destination that defines budget travel for a generation of travelers, and in 2026 it still delivers extraordinary value in a way that almost no other destination on Earth can match. Let me tell you what $25 to $35 a day actually gets you in Vietnam. A private room in a clean, well-reviewed guest house or budget hotel in most Vietnamese cities, $8 to $15 per night. A bowl of pho, Vietnam's extraordinary slow-cooked beef noodle soup, from a street vendor in Hanoi, $1.50 to $2.50. A full plate of bun sichi, the grilled pork and noodle dish that Barack Obama famously ate with Anthony Bourdain in Hanoi, $3. A bon mi sandwich from a street cart, $1. A cae trung, Vietnamese egg coffee, one of the most extraordinary drinks you will ever taste, $1.50. A local beer at a Bia Hoi corner stall where you sit on plastic stools with Vietnamese workers after their shift, literally 30 cents. On this budget you are not eating bad food. You are eating some of the most complex, most layered, most regionally diverse cuisine in the entire world, food that has been refined over thousands of years of culinary tradition, for what a vending machine snack costs in London. The experiences match. Ha Long Bay, 1,600 limestone karst islands rising from emerald water, 2-day cruise including meals from $60. The ancient town of Hoi An, UNESCO-listed trading port with silk lanterns, tailor shops, and one of the most photogenic streets in Asia, free to wander, with entrance tickets to specific historic houses under $1. The Phong Nha Cave System, home to Sun Doong, the world's largest cave, day trip from $15. The old imperial citadel of Hue. The terraced rice fields of Sa Pa glowing gold in harvest season. Muine's red sand dunes at sunrise. Vietnam is 1,650 kilometers long from north to south, 3 entirely distinct climatic and cultural regions. You genuinely cannot see all of it in one trip. And at $25 to $35 a day, you can afford to come back. The honest trade-off, Vietnam's tourist infrastructure in popular areas has become well developed, which means it is comfortable and accessible but also means the most famous destinations like Hoi An can feel busy during peak season. Traveling during shoulder season, April to June or October to early December, gives you the experience with significantly smaller crowds. Visa, Vietnam's e-visa is available for most nationalities for stays up to 90 days. Apply through the official Vietnam e-visa portal before travel. Destination 2, Georgia, $30 to $45 per day. The hidden gem that is hiding in plain sight. Daily budget, $30 to $45 best for wine, mountains, medieval history, food culture visa. Visa-free for most nationalities for up to 1 year. Georgia is the destination on this list that most people watching have never seriously considered visiting, and it is the one that most consistently produces the reaction, "Why did nobody tell me about this sooner?" Georgia is a small Caucasian country at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, sandwiched between Russia to the north, Turkey to the south, Armenia to the southeast, and the Black Sea to the west. It has been making wine for 8,000 years, longer than anywhere else on earth. It has medieval monastery complexes built into cliffsides above river gorges. Its capital Tbilisi has colorful balconied houses spilling down hillsides into a labyrinth of old town lanes that feel simultaneously medieval and hipster. And it costs almost nothing. What $30 to $45 per day buys you in Georgia is startling in its quality. A clean private room in a Georgian guest house, called a guest house or homestay, $15 to $25 per night, often including breakfast because Georgian hospitality demands it. A full khinkali, Georgia's extraordinary soup dumplings filled with spiced meat and broth, meal at a local restaurant, $5 to $8 for as much as you can eat. A glass of rakatsiteli or saparavi, Georgia's indigenous grape varieties producing wines unlike anything you have tasted, $2 to $4. A marshrutka, the shared minibus that connects cities and mountain villages, from Tbilisi to Kazbegi, passing through dramatic mountain passes, $3. Kazbegi itself, the mountain village beneath the 5,047-meter peak of Mount Kazbek with the iconic Jageti Trinity Church perched on a clifftop above, is one of the most dramatically beautiful landscapes in the entire world. Accessible by that $3 marshrutka. Entry to the church, free. Georgia's wine country in the Kakheti region, vineyard visits, wine tastings, traditional Kvevri clay pot wine, extraordinarily affordable and extraordinarily delicious. The cave city of Vardzia, a 12th century monastery complex carved into a cliff face with over 600 rooms, entrance fee under $5. The visa situation, the most remarkable on this list. Most nationalities can enter Georgia without a visa for up to 1 year. Not 1 month. 1 year. This is one of the most generous visa-free access policies in the entire world and makes Georgia uniquely accessible for extended stays. The honest trade-off, Georgia's road infrastructure outside Tbilisi and the major cities can be rough. Mountain roads in particular require careful planning. The country shares borders with Russia and has 2 Russian-occupied breakaway regions, South Ossetia and Abkhazia, that tourists should not visit. The rest of Georgia is safe and welcoming. Destination 3, Cambodia, $20 to $30 per day. Ancient wonder plus extraordinary daily value. Daily budget, $20 to $30 best for Angkor Wat, history, riverside towns, beaches visa, e-visa available for most nationalities. Cambodia is the destination that most consistently surprises first-time visitors, not just with Angkor Wat, which is extraordinary beyond any description or photograph, but with the extraordinary value of everything around it. B at 50 cents. Guest houses at $8 to $12. Street meals at $1.50 to $3. Tuk-tuk rides for cents. Cambodia is one of the few places on earth where $20 to $30 genuinely includes everything. A bed, 3 meals, transport, and 1 attraction, without compromise. Angkor Wat needs its own paragraph. This 12th century temple complex, the largest religious monument ever constructed in human history, covers 162.6 hectares of elaborately carved stone and has been the capital of human ambition and spiritual devotion on a scale that the modern world struggles to comprehend. The 3-day temple pass, which gives you access to Angkor Wat, Angkor Thom, the Ben, Ta Prohm, and dozens of other temples across the complex, costs $62. Spread across 3 days of the most extraordinary historical experience available anywhere in the world, that is $20 per day for something genuinely priceless. Beyond Angkor, Cambodia offers the riverside town of Kampot, one of Southeast Asia's most laid-back and charming destinations, the beaches of Koh Rong, the floating villages of Tunnel Sap Lake, and the troubled but increasingly vibrant capital Phnom Penh with its important genocide memorials and growing food scene. The honest trade-off: Cambodia's Siem Reap, the town that hosts Angkor, has become increasingly tourist-oriented, and prices in the central tourist area are higher than in the rest of the country. Eating and drinking one street back from the main tourist drag immediately halves your costs. And Siem Reap is worth it regardless, because Angkor is genuinely one of the most extraordinary places that human civilization has ever produced. Destination 4. Albania, $35 to $50 per day. Europe's best kept secret, Mediterranean beaches without the price. Daily budget, $35 to $50. Best 4. Beaches, Balkans culture, Ottoman heritage, hiking visa, visa-free for most nationalities. Albania is Europe's most remarkable budget secret, a tiny Balkan country with Mediterranean coastline, dramatic mountain scenery, Ottoman old towns, and remarkably preserved Byzantine and Roman heritage, at prices that rival Southeast Asia for value. Here is what Albania's daily budget buys you. A private room in a clean Albanian guest house, $15 to $25. A full traditional Albanian meal of tave kosi, yogurt-baked lamb, or fajis, a rich pepper and cheese dish, at a local restaurant, $5 to $8. A locally produced Skenderbeu brandy, Albania's famous national spirit, $1 to $2 per glass. A bus between cities, $2 to $5. And most of Albania's extraordinary historic sites and natural parks, free or negligible entry fees. The Albanian Riviera in the south, places like Saranda, Himara, and the village of Dermi, offers some of the most dramatic Ionian and Adriatic coastal scenery in Europe. Turquoise water, rocky coves, mountains meeting the sea, medieval castle ruins on clifftops, all at a fraction of the price of Croatia, Greece, or Montenegro immediately across the water. Samel, 4 small islands a short boat ride from Saranda, is genuinely as beautiful as anything in the Greek islands and dramatically less expensive. The UNESCO-listed old towns of Berat and Gjirokasta, extraordinary Ottoman architecture climbing hillsides above rivers, are among the most atmospheric and best-preserved historic towns in the entire Balkans. And Tirana, Albania's capital, has transformed in recent years into a genuinely vibrant, colorful, culturally rich city that rewards visitors who explore beyond the famous painted buildings of Bloku neighborhood. Brokepackr's 2026 Backpacker Cost Index specifically highlights Albania as the standout hidden gem of the year, noting that it offers Mediterranean beaches at $36 per day, rivaling Thailand on daily costs while delivering a completely different cultural experience. The honest trade-off: Albania's tourist infrastructure, while rapidly improving, is less developed than its Western European neighbors. Road quality outside major cities and the Riviera route can be challenging. English is not universally spoken, particularly in rural areas, though younger Albanians typically speak it well. Destination 5. Nepal, $20 to $35 per day. Daily budget, $20 to $35. Best 4. Trekking, Himalayan landscapes, spiritual culture, adventure visa, visa on arrival for most nationalities. Nepal is the destination where the definition of extraordinary value takes on a completely different dimension, because the experience Nepal offers for $20 to $35 a day is simply not replicable at any price anywhere else on Earth. For $20 to $35 a day in Nepal, you are in the Himalayas. You are walking through mountain villages where yak caravans pass through on trade routes that have existed for millennia. You are sleeping in tea houses at 3,500 meters of altitude with views of 8,000-meter peaks filling your window at sunrise. You are eating dal bot, Nepal's extraordinary rice, lentil, and vegetable platter that tea houses refill for free until you physically cannot eat another bite. You are experiencing one of the most extraordinary landscapes on the surface of the planet, and you are doing it for less than the cost of a mediocre restaurant meal in London. The Annapurna Circuit and Annapurna Base Camp treks are two of the most celebrated multi-day walking routes in the entire world, traversing high mountain passes, subtropical valleys, and ancient Buddhist monasteries. The Everest Base Camp trek, walking to the foot of the world's highest mountain, is achievable for most reasonably fit hikers. The tea house accommodation along these routes typically costs $5 to $15 per night. Dalbot twice a day at tea houses is $5 to $7 per meal. Outside trekking, Kathmandu's extraordinary medieval temples, Pashupatinath, Boudhanath, Swayambhunath, are among the most architecturally and spiritually significant in the entire world. Pokhara's lakeside setting beneath the Annapurna Massif is one of the most beautiful urban environments in Asia. The honest trade-off: Nepal's trekking routes require permits, the TIMS card and specific area permits, that add to the cost, though they are still very affordable. Altitude sickness is a genuine health consideration for trekkers ascending quickly. And the physical demands of multi-day trekking require preparation. This is genuine mountain terrain, not gentle countryside walking. Destination 6. Bolivia, $25 to $40 per day. Daily budget, $25 to $40. Best 4, Salt Flats, Amazon Basin, Colonial Cities, Adventure Visa. Visa-free for many nationalities in 2026, new update. Bolivia is South America's most dramatically affordable destination, and 2026 has made it even more accessible for a specific group of travelers with a notable visa change. In 2026, Bolivia eliminated its $160 visa requirement for American citizens and several other nationalities that previously required paid visas. This change, effective 2026, has immediately made Bolivia significantly more attractive as a destination, particularly for American backpackers who were previously deterred by the upfront visa cost before even arriving. Bolivia's extraordinary landscapes operate at a scale that genuinely does not seem real. The Salar de Uyuni, the world's largest salt flat, covering 10,582 square kilometers of pure white crystalline salt at 3,656 meters of altitude, is one of the most alien and most extraordinary natural environments on the surface of the planet. During the rainy season, when a thin layer of water covers the salt, it becomes the world's largest natural mirror, perfectly reflecting the sky in images that look digitally edited even when completely unmodified. A 3-day salt flat tour, including accommodation in a salt hotel, transport, guide, and entry to the Eduardo Avoe Andean Fauna National Reserve, costs approximately $80 to $150 total depending on your operator. Beyond the salt flats, Bolivia offers the colonial city of Sucre, one of South America's most beautifully preserved Spanish colonial cities, with whitewashed buildings and a mountain backdrop, at prices so low it feels almost fictional. Potosi, the silver mining city that funded the entire Spanish Empire for centuries at 4,090 meters of altitude, is one of the most historically significant cities in the Americas. Lake Titicaca. The Yungas Road, the famous death road that is now a celebrated mountain biking adventure. The Amazon Basin accessible from Rurrenabaque. The honest trade-off: Bolivia's high altitude, much of the country sits above 3,500 meters, requires acclimatization time that most first-time visitors underestimate. Altitude sickness is genuinely debilitating for some people. The road infrastructure outside major cities is limited and travel times are significant. And some of the cheapest accommodation options in Bolivia are genuinely basic. This is a country where the mid-range budget of $40 per day delivers a significantly more comfortable experience than the strict $25 budget. Destination 7, Egypt, $30 to $50 per day. Daily budget, $30 to $50. Best 4, ancient history, Nile cruise, Red Sea diving, desert visa, e-visa or visa on arrival for most nationalities. Egypt's position on this list is directly linked to a specific economic circumstance. The significant devaluation of the Egyptian pound in recent years has made Egypt dramatically cheaper in dollar, euro, and sterling terms than it was just 3 years ago. For international travelers, this currency weakness translates into extraordinary purchasing power on the ground. For $30 to $50 a day in Egypt, excluding the entrance fees to major monuments which are significant costs but still affordable, you are accessing one of the most historically deep and architecturally extraordinary civilizations that humanity has ever produced. The pyramids of Giza are the only surviving wonder of the ancient world, built over 4,500 years ago with a precision and ambition that modern engineering struggles to fully explain. The temples of Luxor and Karnak are so vast and so elaborately carved that spending an entire day in each of them barely scratches the surface. The Valley of the Kings. Abu Simbel. The Philae Temple. Egypt's ancient heritage is staggering in its scale and density. Local food prices under the new exchange rate are genuinely extraordinary. Koshari, Egypt's national street food, a layered dish of rice, lentils, pasta, tomato sauce, and crispy fried onions, approximately $1 to $1.50. Full medams, slow-cooked fava beans with olive oil, lemon, and spices, 50 cents to $1. A full sit-down meal at a local Egyptian restaurant, $3 to $6. Budget accommodation in Cairo, Luxor, and Aswan, $10 to $20 per night for clean, well-located guest houses. The Red Sea coast at Dahab, a relaxed former Bedouin fishing village that has become one of the world's premier budget diving and snorkeling destinations, offers world-class underwater experience in some of the most biodiverse coral reef environments in the world at prices that make equivalent experiences in the Caribbean seem absurd. A single dive with full equipment at a reputable Dahab dive center, $25 to $35. A snorkeling trip to the Blue Hole, arguably the most famous dive site in the world, a fraction of that. The honest trade-off: Egypt's major tourist sites attract aggressive touting and scam attempts that are well documented and require specific awareness before your first visit. Having a local guide for your first day at the pyramids and the Egyptian Museum significantly improves the experience. The summer heat, June through August, in Egypt is genuinely extreme, particularly in Luxor and Aswan, where daytime temperatures regularly exceed 40 degrees Celsius. The optimal visiting months are October through April. Destination 8, Colombia, $38 to $55 per day. Daily budget, $38 to $55. Best 4, Caribbean coast, coffee country, Andes, nightlife, colonial cities. Visa-free for most nationalities. Colombia's transformation from one of the world's most dangerous countries to one of South America's most compelling travel destinations is one of the great travel stories of the past 2 decades. And in 2026, Colombia offers an extraordinary combination of experiences for a budget that rivals Southeast Asia on value. Cartagena's walled old city, a UNESCO World Heritage Site of perfectly preserved Spanish colonial architecture, bougainvillea spilling over balconies, Caribbean colors on every surface, is one of the most photogenic urban environments in the Western Hemisphere. The coffee region, the Zona Cafetera around Salento, offers verdant mountain valleys, colonial hilltop towns, and the extraordinary wax palms of the Valle de Cocora rising surreally above the cloud forest. Medellin, once the world's most dangerous city, now celebrated for its transformation, its cable cars connecting mountain comunas, its extraordinary flower festival, and its vibrant food and art scene. The Caribbean beaches and islands of the San Andres archipelago. The Amazon basin accessible from Leticia. For $38 to $55 per day in Colombia you are eating extremely well. A bandeja paisa, Colombia's extraordinary traditional platter of red beans, white rice, ground meat, chicharrón, fried egg, plantain, chorizo, and arepa, $5 to $8 at a local restaurant. A fresh squeezed lulo juice or maracuya, passion fruit, from a street vendor, under $1. A quality hostel or budget hotel private room in Cartagena, Medellin, or Salento, $15 to $25. A coffee tasting at a Zona Cafetera Finca, $10 to $20 including the full farm tour and multiple tastings. The honest trade-off: Colombia's safety is dramatically improved but remains regionally variable. The general rule that has served visitors well for years remains true in 2026. Research your specific itinerary carefully using up-to-date sources, stay within the established tourist circuit in each city, and use reputable transport rather than flagging random taxes on the street. Colombia rewards careful travel with extraordinary experiences. It does not reward carelessness. Destination 9. Georgia. Wait, we covered this. Let's do Laos instead. Daily budget, $20 to $30. Best 4, rivers, temples, slow travel, waterfalls, elephants. Visa, e-visa or visa on arrival for most nationalities. Laos closes our list as the quietest, slowest, and in many ways most peaceful destination in Southeast Asia, and at $20 to $30 per day, it is also one of the most insanely affordable. While its neighbors Vietnam and Thailand have become increasingly well-trodden and incrementally more expensive as tourist infrastructure has grown, Laos has retained a pace and a character that feels genuinely undiscovered. Luang Prabang, the UNESCO-listed former royal capital on a peninsula between the Mekong River and the Nam Khan, is one of the most atmospheric small cities in the entire world. The morning almsgiving ceremony, where saffron-robed monks walk through the streets collecting offerings from residents and visitors, happens at dawn and has been a daily ritual for centuries. The night market. The French colonial architecture blending with Lao Buddhist temples. The waterfalls of Quang Sai, a series of turquoise pools and cascades in the jungle outside town, entry $3. All of it extraordinary. Almost none of it expensive. Accommodation in Luang Prabang from $10 to $20 per night for clean guest houses. A bowl of khao swa, Laos's extraordinary noodle soup, from a morning market vendor, $1 to $1.50. Sticky rice, the Lao staple, eaten with the fingers from a small woven basket, from a market stall, less than $1. A 2-day slow boat journey down the Mekong River from Huri Zai on the Thai border to Luang Prabang, $30 to $40 including the boat, sleeping accommodation in towns along the route, and one of the most beautiful river journeys in Asia. Vang Vieng has evolved from its backpacker party town reputation into a genuinely varied destination. The karst limestone scenery is extraordinary, the kayaking and tubing on the Nam Song River remains popular, and the surroundings offer excellent cycling and hiking in landscapes that Southeast Asia's more tourist-heavy countries simply cannot match for serenity. The honest trade-off: Laos's tourist infrastructure is less developed than Vietnam or Thailand, fewer direct flights, longer overland journeys, and less English spoken outside major tourist areas. This is precisely what makes it wonderful for a specific kind of traveler who values authentic experience over convenience. But it requires slightly more planning and patience than destinations with more established tourist infrastructure. Let me give you the complete side-by-side so you can immediately identify which destination fits your situation. For under $25 per day, Cambodia and Laos are your two best options. Extraordinary culture and landscapes at prices that genuinely feel impossible. For $25 to $35 per day, Vietnam and Nepal. The gold standard of budget travel, world-class food, history, and landscapes at prices that have defined a generation of backpacker travel. For $30 to $50 per day, Egypt, Georgia, and Albania. Three very different destinations, ancient history, Caucasian mountain culture, and Mediterranean Europe, all delivering extraordinary value for money in 2026 specifically. For $35 to $55 per day, Colombia and Bolivia. South American adventure, colonial cities, extraordinary natural environments at budgets that rival Southeast Asia. And that is your list, 9 insanely affordable places to travel in 2026. Vietnam for the food and the coastline. Georgia for the wine and the mountains. Cambodia for Angkor Wat and the extraordinary quiet of it all. Albania for Mediterranean Europe at backpacker prices. Nepal for the Himalayas at prices that should not be legal. Bolivia for the most alien landscape on Earth at South American budget rates. Egypt for 4,500 years of history at prices the weak pound has made extraordinary. Colombia for the transformation story and the Caribbean coast. And Laos for the Mekong and the pace that the rest of the world seems to have forgotten. Travel is not expensive. The right destination at the right time, chosen with information rather than assumption, that is affordable travel. And you now have 9 of the best options in the world. If this video gave you somewhere to dream about, give it a thumbs up and share it with everyone you know who thinks they cannot afford to travel. Because they almost certainly can. Subscribe for more travel guides, budget breakdowns, and destination content. And drop a comment telling me which of these 9 you are adding to your list first. I read every single one. See you in the next video.